probably gonna piss a lot of people off, but if you're over the age of 21, an adult, do your parents help you out financially? I saw this thing on Instagram that said 50% of US parents are still helping out their children financially. But in the comment section, some people had their panties in a bunch. They were upset that some parents are helping out their adult children. And this is what I think about it. Please shut the fuck up. You are a parent forever. Even if you're 90 and your child is 70, you are a parent. If you are a parent and you have it financially to help your adult children out, if they're in need, why not help them out? You decided to lay on your back and make those babies who are now adults and they need financial help. And I'm not talking about the parents who don't have it financially. I'm talking about the parents who have it financially, but they want their children to struggle. I've heard a lot of parents say, oh, I want my children to struggle because if they struggle, that's the only way they're going to grow. Struggling sometimes helps you to appreciate things, but I feel like there's a thin line between struggling and suffering. Struggling and suffering are brother and sister. I feel like struggling makes you bitter. It makes you angry. It makes you want to fuck some shit up if you have to struggle your whole life. Thank God for my parents, because my parents don't do this. But I have friends who, if they borrow $20, $10 from their parents, they have to pay their parents back by next week. It's almost insane if your parents have it financially, but you still have to pay them back the $10. I feel like it's bad parenting if you have it financially and you make your adult children suffer.
So hi ladies, welcome back to yet another video. If you're new to my channel, my name is Miss Kafue, and today we are talking about the parents who financially support their adult children. Do you believe it's right? Do your parents financially support you as an adult? I think for many of us, this is a rare case. Myself, oh my God, I cannot relate to this, and I know some people can also not relate to this, or maybe they can. So ladies, let's jump into this video whereby it gets so interesting, and then I'll be back to give my take on it.
You know what's a privilege that's not talked about enough is having parents who can financially help you even as an adult. That's amazing.
What do you do for work?
Nothing.
Why not?
Daddy's money. My father just gave me money every month and I live here in Miami.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Where are you guys from?
Italy.
So what do you do with your life?
Just hang out with girls, go in clubs.
This guy has an amazing life. So let me ask you this, how long is this lifestyle gonna last?
Until I get bored.
Are you not bored yet?
Absolutely not.
So your dad is okay with paying your bills and taking care of you for how long?
Until I get bored.
And then when you get bored, what are you gonna do?
Let's see. I don't know.
How does someone get this opportunity like you do?
Just make your father work. I don't know.
2/3 parents now saying they pay for their adult children's bills. Recurring bills, not like going out to supper for the weekend. Groceries, gas, electricity, phone, whatever it is. 2/3 of parents paying for their adult children's bills. When does this end? I know it's 2024 and things are hard. Finances are tough these days, but at what age do parents need to cut the cord and say, these are up to you? Figure it out in some sort of capacity. I know parents are always there to help their children, but when does this end?
You know what really grinds my gears with certain people is those people that have their parents help them financially, like the parents support them financially, whether that is they pay for their rent, they have given them their own place, whether that is they have gotten them a car and they're paying their like car note or whatever, or the people like the parents that they constantly are giving their children money to help them out, like, you know, hundreds of dollars at a time to help them out with things that they have. You know, these are the parents that are like helping their adult child furnish their apartment and stuff like that. You know, the case is just parents that are helping their children, their adult children financially. First of all, there's nothing wrong with that if the parents have the means to do it. But the problem is when those adult children that know that their parents are helping them basically try to swear up and down that they're doing all of this on their own. Okay? It's the type where their parent is paying their car note, you know, for months at a time because the adult child is unable to take care of the car note. But then that adult child wants to talk about how I paid every single car note every single month. I paid my car note, I paid my insurance, and no one good and goddamn well they didn't. you know, or those people that try to, like, you know, they know that their parents are helping them financially, and they'll go run up and ask mommy or daddy to go help them buy something, but then they look and shit on other adult children that are like probably still living at home with their parents because they haven't moved out yet. But here they are, they have their own place, but mommy and daddy are helping with a lot of the money that they have going into that place, but they want to act like they're hot shit because they feel like they have more than the next person. See, that those types of adults are spoiled, entitled, and arrogant, because they're spoiled because they get all of this stuff from their parents, and they don't even realize how much of a privilege that is, because there are certain parents that can not even give their adult children any type of financial assistance, even when the adult child actually needs something. Even if the adult child is not asking for a whole shit ton of money, they just saying like, hey, can I borrow a little bit of this, you know, to carry me through, and a parent will give them a slap on their hand, like, you know what I'm saying, like, and not help them at all. And there are other parents out there that are willing to help their children, and there are other parents out here that are not, you know. So they don't, people don't realize how much of a privilege it is to have parents that help you. But the thing is, what bothers me the most is when they have the parents that help them and support them financially, but they don't want to like admit that their parents are helping them. Like, yeah, they may go ahead and say like, oh yeah, but yeah, my dad bought this couch for our new apartment, but that's the only thing that they may actually admit that their parents did. They're not talking about how, oh, the parents help them with that down payment on that application, that the parent helped them furnish their whole entire apartment, the parent helped them get all this other stuff, the parent helped them with the X, Y, and Z. You know, they basically minimize how much the parent has actually helped them, and they kind of, you know, over exaggerate by how much they have actually put into their own stuff, you know. And the thing about this is that the adult children that are like this are arrogant because they're trying to compensate for the fact that they know that they have not gotten a lot of this stuff on their own. They know that they're not really the hustle grind culture because they still are very much financially supported by their folks. And they're arrogant because they're trying to compensate for the insecurity that they feel. They know deep down that they're not doing all of this on their own. They know deep down that they wouldn't be able to have all of these things if it weren't for their parents helping them. But they look and see other people, like their friends or their peers, you know, or maybe even romantic partners that are handling their business on their own, and they're not using their parents' financial assistance as a crutch. Like, they don't have that privilege of having their parents help them. So there are adult children that they can see their friends or their peers doing everything on their own with not a penny from their parents, doing better than them, when it's like they have their parents helping them and they're still not as far. They still don't feel as if they're, you know, fully independent. They may even feel like they're not a full-fledged grown adult because they have parents helping them. So because they feel inadequate, because they feel insecure, they want to go shit on other adults and basically try to like judge them for their situation or look down on them because, you know, this other adult that may not have as other many material resources as they do. Like, let's say that this other, like, let's say you may not have your own place yet. You may not have your own car. You may still be living at home with your parents or whatever the case is. You're just figuring things out to get yourself into a better position. But yet you have this other adult that has all of this assistance. They're being supported. But yet they got so much shit to say and so much judgment, and you're not grown until you do this, you're not a grown woman until you're not a grown man, and you're not this, you're not that, when clearly they're ignoring the skeletons in their own closet. And it's like, yeah, you wouldn't have that if your parents didn't do it. You wouldn't even have that car if your daddy wasn't paying the car note for months at a time. You know, it's giving like, it's giving that those adults that shit on other people and judge other people for not having the same type of resources that they have, it's giving like, I'm privileged and I'm better because I'm privileged and everyone else is beneath me. But here's the thing. What would have happened if those parents was to pass away and those parents are no longer able to help you anymore? Then what is that child going to do? They're really going to have to figure out life on their own, and they're really going to realize how it's a struggle out here and it's tough out here to actually figure things out on their own. you know? Because, like, listen, it's no problem if your parents are helping you, but at least be real about how much they are helping you. Don't try to sugarcoat shit. Don't try to beat around the bush. Don't try to be very surface level. Don't try to, like, pretend that they've only helped you a certain amount when you know they've helped you to the maximum amount.
I'm 26 years old and my parents still support me financially. You're totally right. First of all, I'm not hiding this, and second of all, I'm not gonna feel ashamed because of this. If you were born into a family who's wealthy and who's willing to support you, I'm sure you would accept this help as well. And my parents were raising me with the thought that the reason why they have been working so hard is to make sure that I and my sisters have opportunities, which unfortunately my parents didn't have. And that's why I had amazing privileges, such as choosing the career which I actually truly enjoy, and I chose computer science. And even though today I'm able to sustain a good lifestyle because of my salary, which is, I understand, also the result of the privilege, my parents still send me more money because they just want to treat me, because this is how the dynamic in our family works. And I'm not going to feel bad about this, because I hope to do the same for my future kids as well if I have this opportunity. So if my kids are going to be bullied for something, I hope it's for rich parents.
If your parents are financially helping you, you need to change your tone and tenor how you interact with your parents. Listen, I don't think there's anything bad about getting support from your parents. What I'm trying to keep you all away from is entitlement, because that destroys a soul. You know why so many people are unhappy? They expect everyone to do everything for them. They expect the government to do it for them, their parents to do it for them, their company to do it for them, their boss to do it for them, their boyfriend to do it for them, their girlfriend. Like, get off that. The quickest way I can promise to make all of you happy is to stand on your own 2 feet and be accountable and expect from yourself. You will get so much happier, I promise.
I always think it's really funny, but not funny, haha, when I hear boomer parents complaining about how their adult children need support and money. Because if my memory serves me correctly, y'all are the generation who had bills in your kids' names before your kids even knew what a bill was. Y'all are the same parents who snatched the money out of your kids' birthday cards and said you would give it back, and never gave it back. Y'all are the same parents who needed help with bills as soon as your kid got their first paycheck from their first job. Y'all are the same parents who did not help your kids go to college, but as soon as that refund check processed, you had your hands out for a cut. It seems to me that y'all are exactly who you say your kids are. Funny.
A woman said that parents who refuse to pay a bill or give their adult children a practical gift for Christmas are wrong. TikToker JB pointed out that as we grow older, there's a deep appreciation for Christmas gifts that actually make a difference. She claimed that parents who don't listen to their children are bad at giving gifts because, let's face it, no one asks for food as a gift unless they need it. And at that point, the gift is less about the recipient and more about the giver feeling like they've done something. And according to JB, that's not how gifts are supposed to work. For some, money may seem like an unconventional gift. But if you're asking someone for what they want and they ask for money for bills or basic necessities, you should listen to them. Just because it's not something you may personally want doesn't mean that it's not something special for someone else. Many people strongly agreed with JB's message to parents of adult children about Christmas gifts. Times are tough right now, and with rising prices for basic necessities, combined with the fact that many people aren't making a livable wage, there's a lot of penny pinching happening in our society. Providing financial support for adult children can have a huge impact, especially around the holidays. Gift giving, once again, isn't about making the giver feel good. It's about making a difference for the recipient. And often that starts with listening to what they want and need.
For the life of me, I cannot understand this type of thinking. So this person says, my 20-year-old daughter wants to move in with us until she finishes with college, which is pretty reasonable. She says she will pay the bills, but she is a grown adult. How do I tell her that adults leave the nest? Now, I've never gone through this myself, but I know people who have. And I mean, seriously, for parents who do this, what do you think miraculously happens when a child turns 18, 19, or 20 that makes them in a position that they are able to fully support themselves, especially in this economy when you have rent prices for a one-bedroom at what, $1,800, $1,900, at least that's how it is where I live, two-bedroom, $2,000 plus a month. And I'm not saying that grown kids should stay home and not contribute. Every family is different, so you have to figure out what works for you. But we're talking about a 20-year-old who's in college trying to learn something so that she can support herself, and you're trying to push her out. And granted, we don't know this family, and there could be more going on here, but what I do know is that there are a lot of people who are so quick to push out their 18-year-old children for no reason other than the fact that they just turned 18.
You may not want to hear this, but your adult children don't owe you anything. That's the quote that came across my feed yesterday. So negative. Look, I get it. You didn't ask to be born. That was my decision. And so it was my responsibility to raise you up. And sometimes that was really hard. To be honest, my kids are great about acknowledging the parts of their childhood that were good. They do give me credit for telling really good stories. They're also pretty good at acknowledging the parts of their childhood they didn't like. And you know, with the advent of age, I've realized that they're mostly right. I was far from a perfect parent. On the flip side, I read recently that 65% of older parents are still supporting their adult children, ages 22 to 40. They're paying for things like housing, groceries, childcare, cell phone bills, even though in a third of those cases, it causes financial strain for them. My kids are all financially independent. I know I'm lucky. So many of my friends are not. They're still supporting their adult kids. One of my friends told me the reason why she supports her 35-year-old daughter is because if she didn't, she'd move home. Often enough, this support comes with no strings attached and no expectation of repayment. So let me see if I'm getting this straight. Our adult children owe us nothing, but it seems that we owe our adult children something. I'm curious. Does that seem right to you?
So my daughter will not be paying for her own college. I will be paying that for her. And by the time she's an adult, she'll have a home, she'll have a car, and hopefully, and this is my goal, I don't know if I'll be able to accomplish this or not, but she'll have a $1 million stock portfolio. The one thing that I want more for my daughter than anything else is for her to be financially free as an adult. I don't want her to graduate college with a useless degree and a lot of student loan debt. And I don't want her to work at some bullshit corporate office job. I'm Chinese, and I just think in my culture, you always want the best for your children. And that's why I'm doing all the things that I'm doing. I'm investing in real estate. I day trade. I invest in stocks. I just started an e-commerce business last year. I want my daughter to be extremely wealthy when she grows up, and I will do everything I can to make that happen. So my daughter will not be paying for her own college. I will be paying that for her.
This is what my parents did for me, and it changed my life. And I truly believe if you're kicking your child out at 18, you're setting them up for failure, and it will cost you in the long run. I'm Nigerian, so it's not uncommon for parents to sacrifice in the short term to help their children's financial future, because parents see their children as investments and retirement. So they're willing to make some very questionable financial decisions to help their children's financial future. Even though it was financially unwise for them to pay for college for me, they put not one, but 2 children through college and allowed both of us to graduate almost debt-free. And this experience did not make me lazy, because when you see someone sacrificing for you to do better, you're going to work harder. It's going to put some fuel in your fire. And the privilege of graduating almost debt-free was huge for me. It allowed me to take calculated risk and end up with a better financial outcome than my parents did in my 20s. And I honestly think the way the US economy is going, with the cost of living increasing dramatically, the American tradition of cutting your child off at 18, kicking them out of the house, or making them pay rent should die. It's a losing strategy, and in a tough economy, the only way to make the difference is through community. So I'm not saying that parents should go into debt to pay for their child's college, but I am saying that parents should really help their children and expect to help their children through their early 20s.
What's really surprising right now is that only 60% of parents are financially supporting their children at a time when there's a student loan crisis, greedflation, inflation, cost of living, cost of food, cost of automobiles, cost of housing is really going up, yet only 60% of parents are supporting their adult kids financially. It should be like 100%.
47% of parents provided financial support to their children that live with mom and dad, and 61% of them don't even pay rent or chip in to help the bills, meaning that 47% of mom and dad are helping their kids, but the kid in return is not helping pay rent, is not helping pay for any type of food or expenses around the house. This did not include children with disabilities. This did not include adults with disabilities, so all of that was removed from this survey. Despite what we're hearing about the improving market conditions, I thought this was interesting because this appears to be ground floor evidence that there are certain generations that may be hurting in this economy more than others. And maybe it's because they don't have a job. Maybe Maybe it's because they have a job that's not paying as much wage as they need to live on, or maybe it's because they're a college student and they're taking on a tremendous amount of student debt. The list goes on and on, but I think there's a lot of points that can be made here that some of this recovery or some of this expansion really hasn't reached young Americans yet.
Half of parents today are still financially supporting their children who are over 18 years old, but what they're not telling you is the financial burden that this is putting on them, and that will eventually come back to you. In fact, parents would rather talk to their kids about sex, drugs, or even death before they like to talk to them about money, because there is so much shame around either their lack of knowledge around finances or the way that they've handled their money. And one of the things that they probably don't want to admit to you is that they probably have little to nothing saved for retirement. In fact, 37% of Americans are not saving for retirement at all. And you can see here there's a big disconnect between what parents expect for their kids to do and what actually ends up happening. They think they won't need financial assistance, but they actually end up needing a lot of financial assistance because of this lack of communication. We used to think that saving and investing was just something we did for ourselves or for our children, but we're at a point now where we're going to have to start doing it for our parents too. And that obligation is going to come a lot sooner than you expect.
Do you give your children an allowance? I personally think it's a great idea. I think allowance teaches kids a number of different things. First of all, how to save for something that they really want, and then how to make decisions about something that they think they might want. And it really saves you a lot of energy and argument. So when a child asks you if they can have something in a store, you can always just respond with, well, you have your allowance, that's what it's for if you choose to buy it. Most of the time, you'll be surprised they're not going to want whatever it is they just asked for. And if they do, then that's their money and they can do with it whatever they want. Even if you think it's a bad decision, even if you think they're wasting their money, this is all about learning the process about money and how to spend it and how to save it. If you listen to my last TikTok, it talks about chores and why we shouldn't pay our kids to do those, and how chores, or as I call them, family responsibilities and family contributions.
Hi ladies, I'm back to give my take on this video. So I think if your parents financially support you, you're lucky. You're very lucky. Most of us cannot relate to you. We cannot, because our parents, not even financially, even your goals, some of our parents won't support even our dreams unless it makes sense to them. As long as it doesn't make sense to them, they can never support anything to do with you unless there's a benefit to it. So I think if you have parents who financially support you, I think you're very lucky, and you should always appreciate them and please be respectful. But at the end of the day, I believe it's also important to get your own. Like, something can happen. Your parent can get sick. Your parent can pass away. Like, shit happens. A lot of things happen. And even if they don't happen, you cannot tell me you live all your life expecting handouts from your parents. Like, they also need a break. And once you get your own kids, I think that's when you understand, like, you will not want to be doing this for 60 years. I think that's when people, like, it really hits people. So what makes you think your parents, even if they have it, they want to do it for the next 60 years? Like, no parent wants to do that, myself included. I really don't want to be giving handouts to my children until I'm 60, 80. I can assist them here and there, but not like every month I have to give them an allowance every month for the next 60 years. Who am I, the mayor? I cannot. And I also think it's important to financially support your adult children, especially when they're responsible, especially when they are doing something important with their lives. Maybe they're in school, maybe they're working, maybe at a small job that's really not paying much. I think if your children are showing signs of responsibility, I think you should really support them. And what a lot of parents forget is that you'll always be a parent. Sadly to say, until one of you is 6 feet under, you'll always be a parent. And parenting doesn't stop just because your child is 40 or 50 or even 100. Parenting doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. But if there's something I also support in this video, is that you don't need to be paying your children to do chores or to do something. Like, those things they should know they should do for themselves without expecting any form of appreciation or any form of compensation. And I think giving kids an allowance is great. I think that's a great idea, because now you teach them how to manage their money, you teach them how to buy things for themselves, you teach them how to save for things they really want. Like, I think that's also a good idea. I don't know what stuck with you from this video, but this commentary isn't so long. I don't have so much to say on this video, but I really enjoyed this video. So do your parents support you financially, or do they not? Do you wish it was different, or are you a parent who financially supports their child? Please share your thoughts down below, and I'll be happy to engage with you guys in the comment section. I know I cannot reply to all the comments, but I do my best to like them or to respond to the comments that really stick out to me. Even if I don't respond, I see your comments. I see all of your comments. So ladies, do something nice for yourself today, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.